Hi, friends. This is the reading lesson for third grade. We are reading our first story in our new booklet called Comparing Points of View. So please make sure you have that booklet open to page 4. You need a pencil as well as a highlighter. We are going to read a story today called Cinderella's Very Bad Day. And you should be familiar with the Cinderella story. But this story is kind of a little bit different. This is actually a diary. So it's as if Cinderella was writing about her day and specifically her very bad day. While we are reading, we are going to highlight some key events and then we'll write a little summary at the very end. So if you are ready, we will go ahead and get started.
Short Read 1. Remember to annotate as you read.
Cinderella's Very Bad Day by Gare Thompson. June 20th, 1549, late morning. My stepsisters have been meaner than a mule today. I woke when the rooster crowed and lit a fire in the downstairs hearth as usual. Soot and ashes from the fire covered me, as usual. Next, I ran to add kindling to the fires in their rooms. I would not have heard the end of it if my stepsister's large, ugly feet touched a cold floor. There was no kindling in either room, so I had to run to the backyard to gather up twigs and sticks. Thorns cut my fingers and briars stuck in my hair. My older
Okay, so we're going to stop right there, and we're going to highlight some of the things that we have learned so far about Cinderella's very bad day. So I want you to look at paragraph 1, and I want you to highlight what you think is one or two of the things that has happened to Cinderella so far that makes it a bad day. So pause the video and do that now in paragraph 1. All right, so can you imagine getting covered by soot and ashes from the fire? Oh, that'd be awful, right? Okay, so there's one other thing that you might not have noticed because of the way that it is written. If you look at the second sentence, it says, I woke when the rooster crowed. What does that mean? I woke when the rooster crowed. It means that she had to wake up so early. The roosters crow, right? The first sign of morning. So she had to wake up super duper early to start taking care of things for her sisters. So that also adds to her bad day. Okay, now let's look at paragraph 2. So she went into her sister's rooms to try to light their fires. And this word kindling right here, those are just small sticks and twigs. Okay, so she went to go add some of those to the fires in their rooms, but they didn't have any. So then what did she have to do? Go ahead and highlight what happened to her when she had to go find those sticks and twigs. All right, so it says she went into the backyard to gather up the twigs and sticks, and it says thorns cut my fingers and briars stuck in my hair. So briars are like prickly shrubs. So just getting those like little prickly things stuck in her hair, thorns in her fingers. Oh, poor Cinderella. 3 things so far that have happened to make her day a very bad day. Let's keep reading.
stepsister demanded soft-boiled eggs. My younger stepsister yelled for medium-boiled eggs. I flew to the kitchen to make their breakfasts. I toil around the clock. I swept the kitchen while the eggs boiled, but dust blanketed everything, so I had to wash every dish again. The eggs ended up hard-boiled. I can't eat these eggs, they screamed. Porridge with berries instead.
Oh my gosh, poor Cinderella. Can you just, if you think about the Disney version, the movie of Cinderella, can you just hear those stepsisters' voices? I definitely can. Okay, so I want you to look back at paragraph 3. And we know that her sisters are demanding breakfast from her, right? But they're not only demanding breakfast for her, but she had to rush down there. They're yelling at her. So let's highlight demanded. Let's highlight yelled, okay? Because that's adding to her bad day. And then she had to rush down there to make the breakfast. It says, I flew to the kitchen, to make their breakfast. Okay, now let's look at paragraph 4. She started sweeping to make sure the house was clean, and I want you to highlight what happened when she started sweeping in paragraph 4. Pause the video. Okay, so did you highlight, but dust blanketed everything? So she had to wash every dish. Ugh, poor Cinderella. Then what happens? Those mean old stepsisters, they say, well, we can't eat our eggs like this. We need porridge, which is kind of like oatmeal, with berries instead. Let's see what happens next.
While picking strawberries, I forgot that they give me a rash. I was soon covered with red blotches. Still, I served the porridge. Too hot, cried the older stepsister. Too cold, shrieked the younger one. Neither wanted strawberries, so naturally they threw them at me. More red blotches.
Oh my gosh, poor Cinderella. So I want you to highlight in paragraph 6, there's a couple things that happen that make her day a very bad day. Pause the video and do that now. So while she was picking strawberries, she got covered in a rash. So you should have highlighted covered with red blotches. And then the stepsisters are not happy with their porridge. And so what do they do with those strawberries? They throw them at her. So rude. So you should probably highlight they threw them at me. More red blotches. And maybe strawberries as well. Ugh. All right. One last little paragraph. Let's see what happens here.
Meanwhile, dear diary, my stepmother keeps screaming for me. This horrible day will never end. Cinderella.
Oh, do you just feel so bad for Cinderella? I do. So, in that last paragraph, there's one other thing that happens to add to her very bad day. Go ahead and pause the video and highlight it. So, we learn that her stepmother keeps screaming for her. Ugh, can you imagine? What a bad day for poor Cinderella. All right, friends. So, what we're going to do now is we are going to write a little summary together. We're going to start it on page 4. And then, if you run out of room on page 4, you can go on to page 5 in the notes section. We're going to do some of it together, and then I'm going to have you do parts of it on your own. Okay? So when we write a summary, we should start by kind of with like a topic sentence. So we are going to start out by saying Cinderella had a very bad day. So that's like kind of telling our reader what we are going to be talking about, what we're going to be writing about, what they're going to be reading about. So go ahead and write that right there. Now what we're going to do is we are going to pick 3 things that happened to Cinderella during this day to make her day very bad. Okay? We found about 7 different things in this story that happened to her, but I want you to choose 3 and you're going to write them. So the first sentence is going to start with first. Now you choose. what happened to Cinderella that made her have a bad day? So I'm going to start with the one that gets covered with the soot and the ashes. So if you want to write the same one as me, you can. If you want to pick a different one, you can. So first, and I'm just going to write soot and ashes from the fire covered. Now, am I going to say me or am I going to say her? I'm going to say her because I am not Cinderella. So I am talking about Cinderella, so I'm going to use the pronoun her. Okay, so make sure you get that written down. Then you're going to write next. And now I want you to write your next one. Go ahead and pause the video and do that now. Once you're done with that, I'm not going to fill mine in because I want to see. Actually, I will fill this one in and then I'll have you do the next one on your own. So next, I'm going to talk about how she had to clean the kitchen from all the dust. So next, she had to clean the entire kitchen because it was covered in dust. Now, maybe you wrote the same one, maybe you didn't. That is fine. When you're ready, you're going to write finally. Now, for this one, you're going to choose one last story event to write. You're going to write it and pause the video. And then when you're done, we're going to write one more concluding sentence. Remember, if you run out of room on page 4, you can come over here to page 5. So go ahead and pause the video, write your last little story event for your summary. I'm just going to skip some spaces. And now we're going to write our closing. So we can start with something like, as you can see, Cinderella had a very bad day. Remember, your closing sentence is just like your topic sentence, just with some of the words changed a little bit. So now your job, if you are in Mrs. Smith's class, she may or may not have you do this. If you're in Mrs. Peterson's class, your job is going to be to go on to Canvas and read your summary to me, starting with Cinderella had a very bad day. You're going to tell me your 3 different story events. Make sure you include your finally, and then you're going to end with your concluding sentence. All right. Great job today, friends. We will read another story about Cinderella tomorrow. See ya.